What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, and this will be the first video on this custom quarter scale Spider-Man sculpted by Franco Carlesimo. So, in chatting with the client yesterday, he wanted to do this in a Miles Morales color scheme. So, looking at color references for the suit, there's a couple challenges with that. The color scheme is fairly simple. It's red and black, and he basically said, do what you want. So I've got kind of free reign to do my thing, which is great. The trick is, this piece is sculpted for a traditional Spider-Man color scheme, meaning you've got the blue on the sides and you got the red spider pattern. Most of the references I've seen for Miles, with the exception of one so far, the way the red is broke, basically the whole suit's black and there's some red like outlines of this area and on the shoulders and stuff. Those areas aren't like sculpted separately on this because, again, it was sculpted for a traditional red and blue color scheme. So the only reference I found that I think will work for this particular sculpt is the 1/10 scale Iron Studios statue. And the reason I say that is because excuse me, the textures and the webbing and everything is sculpted very similarly as this one. The only difference is on the Iron Studios piece, where the red goes on the shoulders and the chest, there's some delineation in the sculpt. I can create that just by masking it off. So I think what I want to do, since I kind of have I get free reign on this, for the black, I'm going to do black with an underlying like a blue shadow. So it's going to be black, but the shadow is going to be in blue rather than like gray. And then I'm going to do a pearl coat over that to give it some sheen, because all the references kind of have a sheen on it. And the red, I might actually do in a metallic red. I think that might look really, really slick on this. For the webbing, all the reference I've seen, the ones I like, the webbing is red, which I think looks really good, and it matches the red on the shoulders and the outline and stuff like that. So I think the first thing I need to do is get this, basically paint everything in black and get that down, and then mask off for the red. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. Now, I don't know if this has primer on it. It doesn't look like this has any primer on it. I think this is just, do a little scraping here, see if I come up. Yeah, there's a little bit of primer on here from the factory. I haven't washed these parts yet, so I need to give them a bath just to make sure everything's clean. And then I like to always give my own coat of primer on everything, just so I know it's all this, you know, it's been primed. This looks like it's been primed for the factory, but again, I just like to do it myself just to make sure I got a good coat of primer on there. So I'm gonna give these a bath, give everything a coat of Style Res primer, and then we'll start spraying some black. So today, if I get the black sprayed on everything, I'm in good shape. So I gotta think how I'm gonna do that as far as the black goes. But we'll get back to that after I get this in primer. Okay, so I washed all the parts on the suit. I primed them, and then I did a rattle can of flat black. I'm letting that dry for a little while. So while that flat black is drying, we're going to start working on Peter Parker's portrait. So I've already started. Again, I've washed them, I primed them, and then I put on couple coats of my Garage Kiss.US Light African Flesh. I kind of use that as a base coat a lot of times for Caucasian skin. It's a great starting point. So as I've done with my past few portraits, which works really good. Again, stole this from Raphael Rebello. I always forget his name. Anyway, I'm gonna do some flecking. So we fleck with red, green, blue, yellow, purple, brown, and white, and then that kind of gives it that porous look, the skin pores and stuff. So I'm just using my craft paints. And I'm gonna just do this real light. So it's mostly water with a little bit of paint. I'm just gonna mix it right up here in my airbrush. Let's put like a drop of that red paint in there. And some water, we're gonna mix it up. And we're gonna turn the air pressure down really low. Let me get a cup here and wash my brush out. I may need more water than what I got in here, let's see. We'll get a paper towel for testing. No, nothing good. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to turn this airbrush way down. A little more water, I think. But mostly water. There we go. I'm not even sure it's showing up. My glove there. Just like that. Actually backed off quite a bit. I kind of pump it. It tends to give me some good variation in sizes of speckles. Get one that's a little too big and just get a Q-tip and dab it off while it's still wet. I was using a paintbrush for this on the last few, but I was getting inconsistent results, so I switched to the airbrush, and I'm liking what I'm getting better. Okay, so that's what it looks like after the red. Let me turn my... It's got a little too much light on this side here. Turn my exposure down just a hair. So hopefully you can see that. Okay, now we're going to clean out the airbrush. And we're going to do green. Let's do a quick clean out of the airbrush. The screen's a little brighter than what I'm usually using, but I think I'll get a nice effect with it. Again, we're going mostly water. The air pressure I'm using is like damn near nothing. And I'm using the needle stop on the back of my airbrush to adjust how much comes out. So you just kind of have to play with the adjustment here and there. Okay, let's see what that does. Screen may be a little light, but it's okay. I'm seeing a difference in the tone. It's pretty crazy how this technique really does give a lot of neat variations in the skin tone. Sometimes I come back here and check on my gloves and make sure I've got something coming out. Alright, so I'm not sure if you guys can see on camera, but now he's got a little green tint to him. So we're going to call that green done. Clean the airbrush real quick. Put that to the side, and we'll do blue next. When I'm cleaning up my airbrush, I just kind of spray, especially if it's just water, I just spray kind of into my trash can. And I've got kind of just a really kind of dirty paper towel down here, just kind of do a quick wipe out of the airbrush. Alright, so blue. Actually, you may go with the slightly darker blue. Let's do this one. Again, these are all just these craft paints, 99-cent craft paints. Oops, way too much paint. It's alright. Let's put extra more water in. So Raphael uses inks, indie inks, which are great because they're perfectly right out of the bottle. You don't have to thin them or anything. They're the right consistency. Again, we're gonna down on the airbrush. Gotta get out the green paint. See if I get something to come out here. Got a little clog in the airbrush. Okay, I've got something coming out. Yeah, I pumped this. I just want to sit here and like spray like I'm spraying paint. Because the pumping kind of gives you different size dots and just gives you a little more randomness to it. That's the whole idea behind this. And clog my airbrush. Let me bump this up a second. Paint may be a little thick, so I'm backing off here a little bit. Yeah. My dots are too big. Add a little more water to it. It's easy to clean up if you kind of screw up. think I gotta, there we go. I had a clog in there. That was my problem. I had a clog in the airbrush. We'll get there. Sometimes you just gotta play with it for a little while. Okay, there we go. Feeling they're just a tad too big, so I just real damp, lightly damped Q-tip. Just touch it and it comes right up. That looks pretty good. Alright, I'm going to clean that out. We'll go not sure why that color clogged up so bad, but it did. Let's get it out. Okay, next one I'll do, I'll do purple next. Excuse me. I don't think the order really matters. Start with water, and add a little bit of purple. One little drop. Down the fin. You want to lower the air pressure because that's what gives you the different drop sides. Again, just go back to my glove and check to see what I'm getting, because sometimes it's hard to see what you're doing. On the surface. I can start to see it starting to tint this. And I just kind of go till, I mean, there's no really set amount, just until I think it looks good. So there's that. I'm gonna call that part done. I'll do yellow. Now, I haven't been sealing between these colors because I've gotten pretty used to this technique. When I first started doing it, I would seal between each color because I was learning it, but now I feel pretty confident in how to do it, so I don't seal between each color. It just goes a little quicker. All right, here's yellow. This one will be really hard to see. Well, what you see is you get these little areas of color variation. Just try to keep it consistent. Okay, there we go. He's got a little kind of little yellow tinge to them. Looking good. Now we're gonna go with 2 shades of brown. We're gonna kind of do a medium brown, and I'm almost out of my dark brown. There we go. Got that dark brown, and then the last one will be white. Just a quick rinse out of the airbrush. Let's do the dark brown first. It's really not that dark. I'm just mixing this up in my airbrush off camera here. Okay, here we go. Now the browns, I don't mind if I get some kind of bigger dots. It'll just kind of help it look like skin pores. I'm not sure if you can hear my airbrush, but you can hear I'm just kind of doing this. I'm going boom, 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 boom. I'm done with every color. And I'm about, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches, 6 to 8 inches away. Okay, looks good. I'm not even cleaning out my airbrush. I'm just going to add this light brown to this, since it's the same kind of tone. This is kind of a caramel, kind of reddish caramel color. It's be more like a medium African skin tone, I guess. I might go with one lighter tone of brown. A little too big. There on that cheek. Forehead. I'm getting that little guy right there. A little too big. And that one's just a hair too big. It's looking pretty good. I don't mind if they're bigger, I just want them to be in scale. If it's really big, then it looks like a, instead of like a freckle or a skin pore, kind of looks like a defect in the skin. So as long as it's in scale, I don't care if it's bigger or smaller than the rest. Really good. The kind of brown tones start to really bring it all together. Okay, that looks really good. I am going to go with one more tone of brown, and then I'll do white. Okay, this is kind of, just gonna get some of this out of here. I don't have much of this in here anymore. I need to add a little bit of water to this bottle. I really like this color, but I'm just about out. That water, mix it up. You know, then I'll do an overall shot of all the colors I used. You guys can see. So if you need, the drops are too big, bring up your air pressure a little bit and reduce the amount of fluid coming out of the airbrush. And it'll atomize a little bit better. If they're too small, decrease your air pressure a little bit. And increase the fluid coming out a little bit. So it's a balancing act between air pressure, how thin the paint is, and amount of fluid coming out of the air, amount of material coming out of the airbrush. Kind of find that sweet spot, and that's if all colors are thin the same and spraying the same. Some colors spray different than the others, depending on how much pigment's in that particular color. So I get the black done today and this portrait done today. That's pretty good progress on this piece. That's kind of my goal. So I gotta let the black dry overnight before I do any masking on it. I was watching one of Vince Ville's customs videos yesterday, and I've been following him for a long time. He's been a full-time painter for years. He's also does a lot of customization, sculpting and stuff. I'm not a sculptor. It's one of the skills I wish I had. Maybe I should learn, because people keep asking me to do conversions and stuff. He was saying that he never uses tape because he always gets lifting, and I'm the exact opposite. I get more lifting with silly putty than I do with tape. So it's like, again, it's all the tools you use, whatever you're used to working with. And I just say to people, if you have problems using tape, then your piece isn't clean, or you haven't let it cure long enough. Okay, so the last color I'm going to use is some white. And you go, so I'm almost out of this too. Damn craft stores are out of just about all these craft paints. You can't get them. I haven't tried Michael's. Hobby Lobby. Their acrylic paint racks are empty. This whole COVID thing has really screwed up a lot of people's just stuff in general, man. I still have yet to find a full-time job. I've applied to over 200 positions, gotten one interview. It's just really nerve-wracking, very stressful. Okay, so this white's gonna be hard to see. Again, I gotta sit here and play with this a little bit, see what I'm getting. Here we go. Sometimes you need a lot of movement on the needle. Too much. Alright, so I need to reduce fluid coming out. Alright, sorry about that, my card filled up, but I'm not sure exactly where it left off, but I'm doing the white right now, and I was saying that when you first put it on, it looks a little harsh, but it dries down pretty translucent, so you don't have to worry about it too bad. Get my focus in the middle here. There we go. So this looks really good. So now, this is what it looks like after all that flecking. Looks really good. So we're gonna go seal this. Be on my airbrush real quick. I'm gonna seal this. And then we're going to do a little shading and a little mist on our base coat a little bit. So these are all the colors we used. We used this color is called True Red. The green is called Christmas Green. The blue is called Cobalt Blue. Purple is just called Violet. Yellow is called Daffodil. This brown is Raw Umber. This is Rich Brown. This is Cocoa Bean, and then white. So those are all the colors we flecked on, and kind of the effect we get. So once we seal this, I'll go in with some pastels and do my first round of shading on the shadows, and we'll seal it and go from there. Okay, so after sealing that with some Krylon matte, I get questions asked all the time, what do you seal with? And I always say Krylon matte. I always say it in all my videos. We're gonna go with pastels. I've been using pastels for shading now for the past several projects. I find it way easier than trying to go in there with an airbrush, because I'm really not that great with an airbrush, to be honest. There's some guys in there, you know, I just don't have the patience to sit there and fiddle with the thinning ratios on my paints for countless minutes or hours to get the thinning just right and all that. I just don't have the patience for that. So I love pastels. I have a lot more control where they go. I just love them. I use pan pastels. People are always asking me, what are you using pan pastels? Get them on Amazon, get them at a high-end craft store. I got these off of Amazon. This is the Flesh Tone set. I'm gonna use a little bit of red oxide, which I usually don't do because it adds a little too much red. So I'm gonna use a little bit of that on this piece, just to kind of warm them up a little bit. I have a bunch of other colors that I haven't really used. Unfortunately, I bought a few sets and a lot of the colors are duplicated, so I've got a lot of doubles of things. So yeah, I kind of like a lot of black and a lot of white, which I really don't use yet. I want to get some more of these. I absolutely love them. When you buy them as a set, they kind of come screwed together. I think they screw together. Yeah, you can. They like, at least mine did. But you can buy these trays, which I bought off Amazon again. This is the biggest tray. It holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 pastels. So you can see I got 2 of these, 3 of these, 2 of these. I got a lot of duplicates. They aren't really cheap, but they are well worth the price. Like one pancake of this, I think, is like $5 or $6. This will last me forever. Like, I probably will never have to resupply. Even the colors I use a lot at this point. I've had these for over a year, and I have yet to go through one of them. They have a huge array of colors, so check them out. So I'm gonna start out with my shadows. And like I said, I'm using a little red oxide on this guy, which I typically don't do. And I love to use a chisel brush. It's got a little kind of a sharp point to it. And then I get a big soft brush. And I just clean off kind of what I used on it previously as much as I can, just so I'm not getting too much of that on there. And again, this is relatively simple. And again, a lot of what we do, and a lot of painters don't like it when I say it, there's not really, I don't want to say that it's not difficult, it's just time consuming. And there is technique and there is talent to it, so don't get me wrong, there is talent involved in doing this. But it's not crazy difficult if you're willing to learn the process and take the time. So you can see there I just put a little bit right up in the shadow line of his hair, and then I'm going to take this big soft brush and just blend it out. Again, just take a little bit. I'm going to take most of it off. What I don't want to do is cover up all that flecking we just did. We're just adding tonal variations. So when I take it off the pancake, I'm not sitting here and rubbing it. I'm literally just doing that and just dabbing it, and it picks up quite a bit. So right here where the temple is, I'm going to come out a little bit, and this will all get toned way down. So it's very contrasty at first. Again, this is going to be all underneath the surface, so that's why it looks really punchy at first. It looks like, wow, that looks really weird. Well, yeah. But once we start layering on the other colors, it will look all natural. So I hit the hairline first because that's kind of like where the most shadow is, or a good portion of the shadow is. Let me take this off this. And I use a lot of sealer. Some people just go do like a mist. I tend to put a lot on because I like to have the ability to go in there, and if I really screw something up, I like to have enough on there where I can really kind of rub on it pretty hard with a Q-tip or something to try to get a mistake off. So I tend to use a lot of sealer. I go through a ton of sealer. Whenever I go to Lowe's, I buy them 12 cans at a time. That'll last me for 2 or 3 projects. So like on one project, I'll use 3 cans of sealer pretty easily. So I'm a little heavy-handed with it. Back here, that's real dark, it's okay because this is way underneath the back of the neck. And I have a specific set of brushes I use only for skin tones. I've got another set that I use for all the other pastel work I do. These are only skin tones, so these have only been used with skin tone colors, because as hard as you try to clean your brush get the pastels off your brush, there's always going to be a little bit left on there. So like if I went and used a brush that I used like my rocket exhaust on, and I try to clean it all off, it would tint this color with that rocket exhaust ever so slightly, and then you'll be hurting because you're not going to get the colors you want. So yeah, I have a separate set just for skin tones, and I've got them labeled skin tone pastels only. These are some of the few brushes that I'm super careful with as far as like keeping straight and where they go. Most of my brushes I'm really careless with, that's why I buy cheap brushes. I know a lot of guys love the Series 7s, Winsor & Newtons. I bought a set of those. I spent like $100, and I think I destroyed them like after the first time I used them. So never again have I bought high quality brushes. I'm just lazy with them, you know. I'm like the worst example to use as far as like how to take care of your tools. I hate to say that, but it's true. I get on a roll, and I just like, I don't have time. Okay, I'll clean that later or whatever. And by that time, it's like my airbrushes. After a while, I just got when I let them. If I don't clean them on a regular basis, some days I'll have to take a break and just spend a good half a day just cleaning my airbrush, and that's breaking them all the way down, taking all the way down to every single part, really cleaning them out, and it takes a while. So underneath the eyes is another area where it's going to be pretty heavily shadowed. What I wish I had for pastels is I wish I had some pinks and reds that I could use on cheeks and stuff. I don't have any of those. So that's why I've been doing the washes, which still works, but I think I would have a little more control with the pastel. I feel like I can control the amount much easier. Let me get some more light in here so I can see what I'm doing. And I take the soft brush and I blend it out. And so I've got a little bit of that red oxide on this brush, so where it's kind of real soft right here on the tops of the cheeks, I can just kind of take this and pull it down. It's subtle, but it does give me an effect. If I need a little more, I can add a little bit right here, kind of in the recess of the eye, like that, and use this soft brush and I can draw it down. You can see there that it gives a nice soft transition. Oop, that's a little too much right there, so I'm going to try to take some of it off. Bring up the side of the nose a little bit. Same on this side. So you can see if I do whatever I do on this side, I go back and do the other side, just so I'm consistent. Try to keep everything even. I do that to my best ability. Sometimes I forget. I'll get going in an area, like, oh, I'll do that, and then I forget. So I can, with the pastel, I can go in here and just really draw in my shadows and stuff. And at first they look drawn in, but once we start blending everything, it'll look better. This step right here is we're really starting to establish the shapes of the sculpt. So this takes a little time. And you can have you can really change the look of a sculpt with this step. You can make it look really harsh. You can make it look you can soften the details. You can really make them look chiseled. The rhinos are a really good example. The one I just finished, I I really exaggerated the details on that piece and made them really kind of harsh, because that sculpt kind of called for it. I could have softened everything up. I could have softened everything up way up, but I think that sculpt called for a harder look. So a portrait like this usually takes me, it'll take me a good portion of the day. It used to be, this would take me all day to do one portrait. That's when I was really floundering and trying to find my techniques. I kind of now feel like I've found my techniques. And when you do that, then it's just a matter of kind of tweaking those techniques to do different things. So, but when you're floundering, you're trying to figure out how to do stuff, it just takes a long time. So you're questioning yourself, like, does this work? Will this look okay? It's like, and now I've kind of decided, okay, this works for me. This technique that I'm doing right here works really well. I know it works. I've gotten really good results. My clients have liked it. And now it's just a matter of going in there and kind of tweaking it and trying different things around that technique. So, so that's why when someone asks me how much it costs to paint something, I'm always asking them how many switch outs are there. If there's 4 or 5 heads, that's going to add a lot to the piece. I mean, for a while there, I was charging just to do a one-off paint on a head sculpt. It was $200 because it took me a day to do it, and that's still the price. If you have like one head and you want me to paint, it's $200 to paint one head as a one-off. Because basically I try to get $25 an hour. That's like what my going rate is. So I base my pricing off of that. It's like if I think it's going to take me 100 hours to do something, it's $2,500. That's what the price is. If I think it's going to take me, 40 hours, it's $1,000. So basically, if it takes me a week, it's $1,000. I think it's a pretty fair rate, considering that you have to take into effect the cost of supplies, the time to pack and ship stuff. That's all included in that price. So, so far I've only had a few people kind of balk at my pricing. I know I'm a little more expensive than some guys. I'm cheap, I'm cheaper than some guys, and I'm more expensive than others. It all depends on. Again, I always tell people when you're looking for a painter, whether it's me or Ed Bradley or John Allred or John Fici, Vince Phil, look at their work. Find someone where you like their work first. If you like their work, and maybe they're a little out of your price range, well then save up so you can have that painter do that specific piece for you. You'll be much happier getting the painter you want. Again, whether it's me or anyone else, I'm always trying to promote my buddies, because all these guys that I'm friends with, all of us painters, we all talk. There's like I would consider us all either acquaintances or friends, or some people I know personally. Ed Bradley I've met a few times, super nice guy, I like him. John Allred I've met a bunch of times at Wonderfest, I really like John. And then just on Facebook, John Fiedler, I consider him a good friend of mine. We met at Wonderfest and we talk all the time. We're all we all talk, so we all kind of know each other to an extent, and we all know each other's work. We all know everyone's got a different style and techniques and stuff. So find the person that you like their style, then ask them what it costs. If it's a little out of your price range, don't ask them to go down their price. Just don't. They're charging their fee for a reason. And again, no matter who it is, just if it's a little pricey and you like the work, save up. You'll be much happier saving up and spending a little extra money to get the painter you want than like, oh well, I'm gonna try to save a couple $100 to go with someone I kind of like. It's just not worth it. Trust me. Okay, so that looks really good. Well, he looks really kind of sickly right now, but you can see we got all the shapes established, all the shadows and stuff. So I'm gonna go seal this, and then I'm going to do things a little differently, because normally I would go in and I would mist on the base coat. I think I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do a little highlighting with the pastels. I don't know. Again, I'm kind of tweaking things as I go. So let me go seal this. We'll come back. Okay, so I sealed this, and I think I am going to mist on a very, very light coat of the base color, which is again the GarageKit.us light African flesh. I'm going to back way off, because I don't want to cover everything up. I just want to tone it down just a little bit and blend it into the hair. I'm going to do this very lightly. Again, I'm like a foot away. Barely missing this on. Maybe 2 very light coats. Just to knock down the shadows a little bit. And we'll seal it again. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to go seal this again, and we'll come back and I'm going to come in with this burnt sienna for the highlights, and then we'll mist on the base coat again. Alright, so I want to seal that, let it dry for a minute or two. And then we're going to go with this, again, I always have to look at the back, burnt sienna tint. Pretty light. You can see that this is kind of broken apart, so no big deal. If you drop these, they will break. It's like makeup. Another reason why the pan pastels are so good over like a cheap stick pastel, which I do have some of those, is that after you seal it, you don't lose the effect. On the cheap ones, once you seal it, a lot of times you lose all the work you need to do it several times. So in the past, when I was doing with the cheap stick ones, I'd have to do them at least 2 times, sometimes 3 times, because of all the sealer. It just kind of kills the effect. So these are highly pigmented. So that's where your money's going. Okay, so this we're going to take and we're going to start hitting the high spots. Again, pretty light. And then we'll get our big brush. I'm going to clean that off quite a bit because I don't want to get the red oxide really on these areas. So I'm just going to clean it off of my glove here as much as possible. I won't get all of it off, like some of it. And then we're going to come in here and blend it out. Like that. It's a big difference between that side and the other side. Again, I take most of it off my brush. And then we dab. And then we blend. Dab and blend, dab, blend. It's kind of the same thing over and over again. So I've got a really big piece coming in the next couple of days. I think it should be in the next couple of days. Is for a client again. I haven't done anything for myself in years, which is fine. Like I said, I don't have a place to keep this stuff. I just like the painting. So there are a few pre-painted pieces I would love to have. My wife would never let me spend the money on them. And I don't keep track a lot of the pre-painted community, like what's going on with that stuff. But there's a Devastator that's just killer. It's absolutely huge, and I'm a huge Transformer fan. You know, grew up in the '80s, so I would love that piece. I'm not sure what it costs. It's probably $2,000 or $3,000. And I don't have anywhere to put it. I don't know where the hell to put it. I don't have a man cave. My man cave is in my studio, where I paint. So again, this looks a little punchy, just fine. We want a high contrast because we're going to, again, mist on some of our base tone after we do this step. Using this big soft chisel brush is the key to doing it this way. in my opinion. It really just kind of blends everything, kind of softens everything up, blends it together nicely. I usually don't do a painting like a stroke motion with the pastels, but sometimes when I just want to hit a very kind of hard feature like there on the side of the mouth, I'll do it. And here I've got just a little bit left on my brush from the previous step, so I'm just going to use that to go here. Sometimes you'll get inconsistent results if you go in there. That's why I like to dab it. I find I get better consistent results by dabbing it like this and then blending it with a soft brush. He's starting to really come together now. Really starting to look like something. And again, I've said this in other videos, I kind of do a dry brush technique on the ears because I don't want to get this color down into all the recesses. I just want to hit the top details. Ears are the hardest part, I think, when doing this. So I got all those little creases and stuff, but you want to keep all the shadows and stuff. So come down here a little bit. I don't hit the bottom of the chin too much. I kind of leave that as is because it's all in shadow. So the sculpt has turned a little bit, so he's got a little bit of a pull of the muscle or the tendon right here. That's not on the other side. He's looking off to his, I guess, his left a little bit. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Okay, so I'll probably go seal this now. And I'll come in with one more highlight. They're really bright. It's almost white. And then what we'll do, we'll seal that, and I'll come in one more time with the raw umber tint on the very bright spots. And then his skin will look a little kind of deadish, but that's okay because we're going to tint it. We'll mist on some gold toner and stuff, and we'll add a little life to it. And then once we add the washes to the cheeks and the lips and stuff, they'll come alive. I'm going to take this, I'm going to feather this back up into that hairline just a little bit, I think. Alright, so I'll seal that and we'll come back. Alright, so we're going to mist on the base coat again just a little bit, very lightly. I'm gonna get back way off. I don't think any paint coming out. I did seal this just to protect the pastels from this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go seal this, and then we'll do the brightest highlight, mist on the base coat again, and then we'll start doing some washes and stuff. So let me seal it and come back, we'll do the last pastels. Alrighty, seal that, and then we're gonna go in with this raw umber tint. This is almost white, got a little bit of tone to it, not much. And we're gonna, again, just hit the very top spots like the nose, brows. Still looking a little punchy, but we're going to blend it all in here a little bit. Cheekbones. And draw this out a little bit. Highlight the jawline a little bit. I like these chisel brushes. I can either you just use the tip, or I can use the whole flat surface to really kind of soften things up. This little one's a little beat up. I might have to replace it soon. It's kind of like my main brush for placing the pastels. So it's been worn out pretty good. Do the edges of the ears. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we'll seal this again. I'm going to soften the cheekbones a little bit. I really like this sculpt. This is a great sculpt. It's a little older version of Peter Parker, but if I had to put an age on it, I'd say maybe late 20s, early 30s. Looks great. So I'm going to seal that again, and then we'll blend it in some more and go from there. Alright, so we'll seal that. We're going to mist on our base coat again. Almost out of this color. I have to order some more from Jesse. You've got just enough for this head. I'm gonna go a little more on this layer here to really kind of blend it all in. So keeping all the flecking and everything we did earlier. There we go. That looks pretty good. That's looking pretty natural now. Okay, so from here, we'll seal it again. That's the sealing. And then we will, I think I'm done with the pastel for now, so I'm gonna put those away. Those take a while. There's a lot of steps. And then we're going to seal this, and usually at this point I like to put the hair in. So I may do that, because the hair really has an effect on the way the skin looks. I think I'm going to seal this. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to put just a hair bit of gold toner on it. Gold toner is a magic, super magical color for the GarageKids.us line. It's transparent, and it has just the right amount of warmth to stuff. And you put on crazy, crazy light. So I'm going to back way off. And you may not be able to see it in the camera, but I'm over a foot away. Just really lightly misting this on. And it's super easy to go too far with it. So the guy put on crazy, crazy light. You probably can't see a difference in camera, but I can in person. So that's all we're going to do with that color. I literally put like 2 drops on my airbrush and misted it on. Alright, from there, I'm going to seal that. And then I think I'll do the washes on the cheeks. The red washes on the cheeks and on the lips, and we'll take a look, and probably base coat the eyes too in white. Okay, now I'm going to do some washes on the cheeks and the lips and the forehead. I'm going to use a True Red. This is a little brighter red. Put that in there, and it's mostly water again. And let's get a brush. So it's very watery. It's probably actually not watery enough. You want to do this in very, very light layers. Still not watery enough. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna take it off the clip here. I got a bunch of dry Q-tips here. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna just kind of dab it on the cheeks here. And then we blot it. And you don't see it at first. After about 2 or 3 times, you'll start to see it. So you can see I'm doing it equally on each side. There's the second time. And the mat, you seal this with a mat because you're staining the surface very lightly. You're just building it up. This is pretty watery, so this may take a few times. But I don't let it sit, because if you let it sit, you'll have an outline of where you kind of put it on. So that's why you put it on very lightly, take it off, put it on, take it off, and you're just slowly building it up. I do it. I go back and forth each side, that way they're equal. Starting to get there. Again, just a slow process. I'll let that sit there for a second. May have it a little too watery. It's taking a little, usually takes about 2 or 3 rounds of this for it to show up, and it's taking a little bit more. It's no big deal, it'll just take you more applications to get there, but it'll get there. Starting to see it. It's a very subtle effect. You don't want him to look like he's blushing. We're just adding a little life to the skin. Let that sit for a second. Get a chance to stain it a little bit more. We're getting there. I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit on the forehead. You can see when I blot it out, going from the center out. That just helps blend it out from the center out, so it looks more natural transition. And also the Q-tip I'm using is slightly damped, and it's got the paint on there, so it's just, again, adding to the effect. I think it's just a hair too watery. I can see it on the cheeks, it's there. I want a little bit more. There we go. I may do a little more gold toner to warm him up a little bit. He's looking a little pale right now for my tasting. Once I do this, I may do a little more that gold toner to warm it up just a hair. Okay, the cheeks, yeah, I can see all the cheeks now. I can see on the forehead a little bit. Let's do the purple under the eyes. Again, the purple on the eyes is a little trick that John Elred had suggested to me. Again, it's a subtle effect. It's kind of crazy how much it makes a difference. Blowing that a little bit. Be a long video again. For anyone who watches it. I don't get a ton of views on my videos. I think they're just too long. People don't want to sit here and listen to me ramble on for hours at a time. It's fine. Okay, I think the cheeks are looking good. Finally. Yeah, I got just a little bit of pink to them. He's getting there. Portraits take a long time. At least for me, they do. I think I may seal this here, and then mist on some more gold toner to warm them up a little bit. Let's tint the start with the lips a little bit. We'll tint those a little bit right now since we're here. And those I'm not going to blot off. I'm just going to let that dry. Oh, those kind of a nice pinky flesh. This is mostly water again. Got a little bit up there above the lip. I don't want that. That lip looks perfect. Yeah, it was perfect until I did that. Alright, so I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to seal it, and then I'm going to do another little very light misting, the gold toner, to warm it up a little bit. I think the skin's looking pretty good. Alright, so I'll seal that. I'm going to mist on some of this gold toner again, see, just to warm it up a hair. I'm going to now, it's a little on the dark side, so I'm going to mist on, what is it? It's semi-transparent. Where is it? Where are you? So I've got a semi-transparent virgin flesh. Very lightly. Okay, so I got some semi-transparent virgin flesh in here. Just gonna lighten them up a little bit. A lot of gold toner, unfortunately, so hold on. Try it again. I had a lot of gold toner in the airbrush though, so I got a little warm now. Sorry, it's not in focus. There we go. Okay. Now I think I'm going to mist on my base coat one more time, very, very lightly. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit on here. The cheeks is funny because I couldn't see it when I was doing it. As soon as I sealed it, they really popped out. So they went a little too pink, I think. Okay. That's looking pretty good, I think. Yep, I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna go seal this, and then we're gonna base coat the eyes and hair. But you can see the pink on the cheek. The lips look good. The forehead's got a little pinkness to it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Seal it, and we'll base coat the hair and the eyes. So a lot of times I like to use my own skin as a reference as far as what everything's looked like, and I'm a little on the yellow side, but overall I think we're looking pretty good, depending on where you look at. Like my forearm or whatever, it's got more pink in it, but yeah, like my skin tone tends to be a little bit on the yellow side, but I think it's pretty good. He's a little on the pale side, which I prefer. I don't like them too warm. Sometimes I think guys just go too warm with the skin tones, they start to look yellow. When I first started doing skin tones, that was one of my things. I used to go too yellow or too orange. Like, he looks like a bad tan. Okay, so now we're going to base coat the eyes. And we're going to use my gold standby. I gotta clean out my brush here. 1 second. For that. Let me get a clean cup. Actually, I don't even need a cup. I need a clean cup to clean my brush out. And for that, I like to use the GarageKids.us Bone White. It takes a few layers because it's not, it's a semi-transparent. But it's got just enough warmth to it so it doesn't look straight up white. Because pure white eyes look weird. So, there's some colors that Jesse's had that I wish they were opaque, and he's got other colors that like some of the semi-transparent colors. Like I wish he had this in an opaque color. I don't know if he does. And some of the opaque colors I wish he had as semi-transparent. So you just have to learn to work with them. I'm gonna put a few drops here on my palette. I got a liner brush, like to use a liner brush with this really isn't a liner brush, this is a long brush with a point on it. It's actually maybe a little too big to get in there. And this I typically have to do off camera because I have to really see what I'm doing. Yeah, his eyes are kind of squinty. So you're gonna do this on camera. Yeah, and you're gonna have to get a smaller brush. It's too big. Let me get it. Again, I found out that Windex cleans this paint up like perfectly. Let's see, I should have a liner. Here's a liner brush right here. This little guy's good. So typically when I think I have the skin tone where I want it, that's when I put the eyes and the hair in, and then I'll reevaluate, and then if I need to go in and do any more adjustments on the skin, I'll do it with pastels or washes. Until you get the hair and eyes in, it's really kind of hard to judge what the skin looks like. You got nothing to compare it against. So this usually takes 3 coats to get this pretty solid. It being a semi-transparent, you'll never actually get it completely opaque, which is fine. Can use the base, the skin tone as a little bit of a tint. So you have to do one side, let it dry for a minute, and then go back and do the other side, because you just can't keep layering it on. You gotta let it dry. It dries pretty damn quick, within a few seconds. So we're putting it on very lightly. really like this brush. What is this? This is a Princeton Select script liner. I really like these. I bought a few of these. These are actually a little nicer brushes than the cheap ones I get at Hobby Lobby when they're half price. I got these at my kind of local art supply store, and they were a little more expensive. Instead of getting like 10 brushes for a couple of bucks, I spent a couple of bucks on one brush. So like this brush, I think was maybe $3 or $4 for this one brush. And I do my best to keep it pretty nice because it's a great brush for doing eyes like this. So again, it takes a little time to go back and forth to get. So those are just about base cover. And already that makes a difference on what the skin looks like. It's crazy. It's really crazy how much of an effect it has on the way your skin tones look. I don't like to have a ton of paint on my brush because it'll flood the eye, and then I gotta go in and do cleanup. So I try to just have a little bit on at a time. Right. So the eyes are base coated. Okay, for the hair, Peter's got brown hair. So we're going to start off with, we got kind of a go-to formula for brown hair. Burnt umber is usually what I start with. So I'm going to base coat this in burnt umber. I'm going to put a little water in it this time just so it's a little thinner. Hopefully that doesn't, I got a little orange there, let's see. I won't record the whole process of base coating the hair because it takes a while. So I'm using my golden acrylics, heavy base acrylics for this. And what takes the longest time is going around and getting around the hairline. It just takes a while. It usually takes 2 coats of this. The hair sculpted really, really nicely on this piece. I love it. There's a lot of detail in the hair. So I'm not going to record this process because it's just tedious and takes a long time. So I'm going to go around, I'm going to base cut the hair, we'll get this sealed, and then we'll do the hair first, and then we'll put the eyeballs in and stuff like that, and then we'll take a look at everything and see if we need to do anything else. But yeah, so this will take me a while. So once the hair's in, or the base coat, then we'll come back and dry brush it and get all the details out. Okay, so I finally got the hair base coated. It took several coats and lots of drying time. But here we are. Again, that was base coated with, what is it? I forgot what I did. Burnt umber? Burnt umber. So it looks good. So now we're going to start dry brushing it and bring out some of these details. I started out by mixing a little yellow in with that burnt umber. I don't like the way it looks. It's got a little too much green. So I'm going to go in with burnt sienna. Oops. I got a kind of a formula for brown hair. It all just depends on how bright I want to make it. I need to clean that off. It's dirty. Okay. And then we need just a paper towel, because it's dry brushing. Got a flat brush here. Some burnt sienna. It's got a little bit of orange and red in it. And you put it on your brush, take most of it off, and start dry brushing on. Now this first layer is not going to be very noticeable. This will just kind of tint the hair a little bit.
Hi there.
I had to take a break here and go get my son here. I didn't realize how late it was. This portrait has taken longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to take a break here. But I'm going to do this with burnt sienna. This is where I can work on it, you guys can see what I'm doing. I like a flat brush so I can get large areas at one time. Just gotta be careful when I get close to the edge. I don't get this on the skin. If I do, it's not the biggest, it's not the end of the world. Just get a Q-tip and clean it up. As you can see here, it's just kind of tinting the hair for this first step. When I do the eyebrows, I'll get a smaller flat brush and around to do around the sideburns and stuff too. Okay, so it looks pretty good. We're gonna get a little small brush. So use a little small flat brush to get by the sideburns and stuff, so I don't less chance of getting it on the skin. And also for the eyebrows, and I just use the flat part of the brush when I do the eyebrows. That. Some nice detail sculpted in there, so we want to bring that out. Just like that. I might go back in with some pastels. I haven't decided. As I get the hair and the skin's looking better. Okay, that's it for that step. I'm going to seal that and we'll come back and add that next highlight. Looking good. Alright, so that was sealed and it's dried a little bit. I'm going to go in with this Deco Art Cocoa Bean color. Again, and dry brush it. This may take a few more times because this is really, sorry about all the noise in the background. Hey, be quiet guys. Kids are home and dogs are barking, so this may take a few times because it's very low in pigment. So we'll see. crazy around here at this time of day because the kids are just picking my son up, dogs are barking. Yes, I'm good. Use the flat pad of the brush just to kind of really hit the tops of everything. And make them up one more level of brightness. It's looking pretty good right now. I'm gonna add a touch of white to that, cocoa bean color, and then we should be there. That's a lot of white, I don't want that much white. I'll put more of this back in there. With that white, that's got a lot of pigment in it. It's the golden acrylic. So I'm just gonna do that. It's probably too bright. Dang it. I think I might do. Where is it? Where's my burnt umber? I don't want burnt sienna. I gotta clean all these. Gotta clean all these bottles up. I can't put the screw the toss back on because they're all caked in paint. I'm gonna go back to my burnt umber and add that to this mix. Just a little bit of the burnt sienna. That's looking pretty good right there. I don't need a lot of this, just a little bit. I don't want a paper towel, that one's pretty full. This is too brown, I'll just go back in hand again with the very small amount of the burnt sienna. Super light with this. Yeah, I'm going to come back in again with just a very little bit of the burnt sienna and tone this down a little bit. So I took it up a little too far for my liking. Mostly on the front here. So I'm just going to tint it a little bit. There we go. Let's bring it back down. So this portrait has taken me most of the day. I thought it wouldn't take so long, but it has. Go back in a little more burnt sienna. And I haven't done the eyes yet. I'll do that next. Yeah, that bright highlight was just too much white in it. I didn't like it. So this actually kind of gives it a nice little layering effect anyway. Stop messing with this before I screw it up, because I'm liking the way it's looking. Alrighty, I think the hair is done. Looks pretty good. Alrighty, so we'll seal this and then we'll put the eyes in. Alrighty, eyes. As usually I use decals. So Peter Parker's eyes are kind of hazel. So I kind of got something close to hazel here. They're more green than anything. But I may go in and do a little coat of kind of a clear yellow over them to get them closer to hazel. So I kind of got them trimmed. So we're going to do one at a time here. Get a clean brush. I just got some water right here in this little cup. I'm just using some silly putty to kind of hold the head in place while I work on it. And then I like to use a toothpick. Kind of slide it in there. I'm gonna have him looking up. The hard part is getting the damn decal paper out of the way so I can place the eye. There we go. I'm gonna have him looking up. Now, what I do is I get them set, and then I use a clean blade to trim the bottom. So you can see I trimmed the top already. I did it to both of them. Have them look off this way a little bit. Yeah, we'll have him looking off to his head's turned to his left, so I'll have him look off to the left a little bit. So I get one placed, and then get the other one in to match the gaze. I have a hard time getting this to not stick to the brush or anything. Let me get my center. Stop. Keeps wanting to stick to my brush. Alright, so I'm going to put it right there. And now it's just kind of sitting on top, but I'll put the decal solution on and I'll suck it down. So once you put the decal solution on, you don't want to touch it. Trying to just get way up. Okay, right there. Alright, so I'm just gonna let that sit now until it dries, and then I'll put the other one in. Not sure if you can see that or not. You can see that it overlaps the bottom lid, eyelid, but we're gonna trim that off after it dries. Okay, so I did the rest off camera just because I kept to be able to get in close, and the portrait's done. So I just glossed the eyes so they look a little overly wet, but so after I put the decals in, I sealed them and I put on a very thin coat of clear orange and clear brown to kind of get the hazel. They look really good. Then I went in and did the waterline and outlined the eyes and redid the pupil. And I just glossed them and just did a little gloss on the lips, and this portrait's done and it looks good. So I'll put this to the side, and we'll continue on with doing some highlighting on the black. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we're doing Miles Morales color scheme, and most of the suit is black, but we just don't want to do straight up black. We're gonna, I'm gonna do some highlighting in blue, and then we'll bury that blue back underneath the black, so it's got some shapes to it, or some. Well, I got two different colors of blue here for some reason. Either one's the same color. One's darker. We'll go with this one. Anyway, we're gonna just highlight with some blue to give this suit some shape, and then we're going to then bury that blue back underneath some black. And it'll be pretty subtle. You may not be able to see it in camera, but in person you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to use my Mr. Color GX Blue. It's kind of like my go-to color for this kind of thing. This is a GX number 5. Susie Blue it's called. Normally I only spray this Mr. Color in the spray booth, but since I'm out here and I'm gonna be pretty close to what I'm doing, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna thin it down just a little bit more. Again, I don't have a specific thinning ratio for this stuff. I just kind of thin it till it sprays the way I want. A good average, if you wanted numbers, 2 parts paint to, or sorry, 2 parts thinner to 1 part paint, 2 to 1. I know a lot of guys want, what's your ratio? Well, whatever ratio works. That's my ratio. You're not gonna need a whole lot of this. Got my iWatt HPC S Plus. I like it because it's very easy to lock the trigger down. Your volume control. Let me get the glove on, and then we'll start off with maybe the foot or something. Okay, so these have dried all day. I used just a rattle can for this to get the flat to do a black, and it turned out really nice. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna start giving these pieces some shape. Now this is going on top of black, so it's going to be pretty dark, which is what we want. We don't want this to look blue. If you look at the comic, it's highlighted, and the highlights are blue. pretty thin too, so I'm just gonna do the foot on camera, and then I'll do the rest off camera. Little wrinkles right here, look at those. So what I'll do when I'm done with the blue and everything is I won't use a rattle can. It'll be too aggressive. Hopefully I've got some black in my stash. I don't know, I've got the low. I'm getting really low on Mr. Color paints. I don't have any Mr. Color black. Pretty good. Alright, so that's kind of what this looks like. A lot of blue right now. It's too much blue for a black suit, but we're going to bury it. We'll bury it later when we go back and do black again. So it looks pretty good. Do the other one here. Might as well do it. I got you. Wrinkles first. Should have hit the wrinkles first on the last one too, but back. Some very subtle details in this sculpt. I'm going to move it around the light to see them all. Not doing the bottom of the foot because that's going to go red. Match the Miles costume. Okay. There you go, it's pretty good. Let's look at them together, just to make sure we're on the same page as far as shapes and everything. Hit this cap a little bit more. I think we're looking pretty good. All right, so that's what we're gonna do to everything else. And then we'll check the paint stash. Hopefully I've got some other black in there and go in and hit the shadows and blend this all in so it looks like a black suit with some blue highlighting. So I'll do the rest off camera and then we'll come back when I'm ready to kind of blend it all in. Okay, so this is what the torso looks like after highlighting in blue. And I went and checked my paint stash. I do have Mr. Color GX Black. So perfect, awesome there because I was afraid I didn't have any. So this looks really good. Now we're gonna go do the legs and then the hands and heads. Alright, so we got all the blue on and it looks pretty good. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go back in with black now. And we're going to blend this in so it doesn't look blue, but it looks black with some blue undertone. So I've got some black here, makes sense. And I'm gonna over thin this pretty good. I may have to switch to doing this in the spray booth because of the way I want to do this. Again, my mixing ratio is just nothing in particular, just until it sprays the way until it sprays that way, until it sprays the way I want it to spray. I can't spray it out. I'm gonna get one of these paint mixing cups. Look a little better. It's wax cups. I don't trust. Kind of think the wax breaks down on them from the thinner. Okay, so this is over thin. I'm not sure exactly by how much, it just is. And let's do one of the feet. I'm going to do first, I'm kind of come in here and hit the shadows. I think I'm just going to eventually just mist this on over everything. See what that does. Yeah, I'll probably do this in the spray booth because it's going to create a lot of overspray and stuff that I don't want to get everywhere. I'm just mixing this on. So bring the blue down and darken the blacks. And hopefully we'll have a black suit with some blue highlighting, dark blue highlighting. That's looking pretty good. If I see that the blue's a little too punchy in one area, I just kind of hit that a little more, like I hit this cap a little too much maybe. Okay, so the one on the right has been blended. The one on the left has not. So this is a little shiny right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to put a pearl coat on this, I think. But I think that looks pretty damn good right there. So I'm going to do that to everything else and blend it down to match that. And then I'll probably throw a pearl coat on it. And then we'll go from there. So let me get everything blended and we'll come back. Okay, so we got that all blended in and I think it looks really, really good. So it's a little shiny, but it's gonna get knocked down, but it looks black with some little blue highlights in there. It looks really, really nice. So I thought I was gonna do a pearl on this. I need to see if I have one. I don't know yet. I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry for a good, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. And then I'm gonna seal everything and then I'm gonna let it dry. It needs to dry overnight before I can do any masking. And then I'll get a better sense of what it looks like. Because once it's sealed and it dries, then all the tones kind of meld together a little bit, but I think this is gonna look really, really good. So, yeah, after it's sealed, I'll come back and show it to you, and then we'll call this work in progress done. So we'll come back and look at it when it's sealed. Okay, so I went and sealed all the black. It looks really, really good. I'm super happy with the way this turned out. It's gonna look really sharp when I get the red down. I can kind of give you a sense of what it looks like with the portrait on. I don't want to do it too soon because the sealer is still kind of drying, but this looks really sharp. Yeah, really couldn't be happier with the way that looks. Boom. Now to get the real Miles Morales looks, let's get the custom portrait that Troy did. Throw that on there. Got him over to the side. I want to make sure I keep this guy like bagged up and everything. I'm gonna put a glove on. I don't want to mess up Troy's paint. That would be bad. Black looks really good. Super happy with it. God dang it. These gloves are a little too small for my hands. I need to get some bigger gloves. So give me a second. All right. So it's really it's my work area is in an open area in my house, so it's really hard to record because when people are on the phone, you hear everything. Hey, can you keep it down for a second, please? And there we go. It's gonna look sharp. So that's it for this work in progress. We're gonna let this dry overnight, and then we'll mask off and do the red tomorrow, and we'll go from there. As always, thanks for watching. This is Matt Moses. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.